I've started taking shorter showers and turning off the faucet when I brush my teeth.
Well, that's great. Another way to save water is to fix any leaks in your house.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. How much water can a leak waste?
A small leak can waste up to 20 gallons of water daily, which can really add up over time.
Wow, that's a lot. And have to check for any leaks in my house.
But another good tip is to only run your dishwasher and washing machine when they are full to save water and energy.
I'll keep that in mind. It's important that we all do our part to conserve water, especially during this shortage.
Absolutely. Every drop counts.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department. Learn more at water.gov.kn.
Good evening, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good evening to you in the Leeward Islands, in the OECS. Good evening, entire Caribbean. Hey, once you outside that sphere, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning to you, wherever you are in your neck of the woods. Welcome to another edition of On the Ball here at WinFM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, and we're going to have a good time tonight, I'm hoping. A very informative program with lots of information. And tonight we're going to have a guest in a few minutes, the St. Kitts Nevis Olympic Committee. They will be here live in studio as we are dedicating this program to the late Alfonso Bridges Bridgewater, who would have left us, and his funeral is coming up on Friday coming. So the contingent from the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee, they will hear and they'll be telling us all about it. And then cricket, cricket is in the air, a lot of cricket. Leeward Islands gave away the West Indies Regional 40 Championship. The Windward Islands gave away the West Indies Regional 40 Championship. And as a result, the Guyana Harpy Eagles, they were able to retain their championship. And boy, life is funny, eh? They started off losing on a losing streak. The last 2 or 3 matches, I think it's 2 matches on the throttle. And then they were able to come back and win everything. But we're going to get into that a little later. But if you're celebrating a birthday today, we say happy birthday to you. If you are celebrating an anniversary, happy anniversary to you as well. If you're going to be celebrating an anniversary or a birthday between now and next week, Tuesday, God's Spear, when we have a next edition, we say happy birthday, happy anniversary to you in advance. And if you celebrated between last Tuesday and today, we are saying happy belated birthday to you, happy belated anniversary. And of course, if you're going through a period of bereavement, we say condolences to you. And jumping to mind is the family of the late Alfonso Bridgewater. So we say happy and belated, condolences to them. And we are asking them to be strong. And hey, let us kick off with football. A lot of football being happening here in the St. Kitts and Nevis. From the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association, the female league, which started, so there's the Female President's Cup, Mopau Keon Rockets. They went down to 100 Newtown United 2-0, and that was in the first semi-finals, netting for Newtown Caitlin Forbes in the 23rd, Sharima Blake in the 90 plus 6 minutes. And match 2, the defending champions, Montreal Farm, Clear Right United Old Road Jets, they took care of business against Queen City Ballers 4-0. Denell Crease, she touched the back of the net 2 occasions in the 42nd and 51st minute. Delencia Roberts in the 46th and Quancia Fraser in the 68th. So the big final is coming up on Thursday, 25th April 2024 at 6 p.m. at Warner Park. Female football in the Elvis Star Browns Female League. Montreal Farm, Clean Right United Old Road Lady Jets, the defending champions, coming up against Honda Newtown United. This is a grudge match, as it were, a replay of the final last year. So I could tell you, Newtown going to be coming with fire in the eyes and a lot of power and whatever in the foot. But I could also tell you, Old Road, they're not going to relinquish that championship easy at all. So that is female football coming up there on Thursday. And if we go to some more results, in the Premier League, Friday the 19th, last Friday, at the Nevis Athletic Stadium, Hot Springs Bath United, they have, I can't call it a myth, it is a fact. I don't think they've ever lost playing at the Mondo Park, in the Mondo Track in Nevis, the Nevis Athletic Stadium. And they took care of business against Honda Newtown United 2-0 with goals coming from Amarian Bartlett in the 21st and Chris Jeffords in the 29th. On Saturday, the 20th, in match 1, Skellet Garden Hotspurs United, after being 0-0 with Flo Forgy-Keon Rockets, went down 2-1. Miguel Crawford, well, this guy, he wanted some equity in the game, because in the 52nd minute, he had an own goal. He scored on his own goalkeeper, so Keon went up 1-0. But then he came back and he said, no, I have to balance out this thing. 4 minutes later, he put a bulge in the open bag, and therefore it was tied 1-1. But Vince Roy Nelson separated them in the 76th minute. Flo Forgy-Keon Rockets winning 2-1 in the second game. Rams Village Superstars, boy, they squeeze in one, as we do say, against Montreal Farm Clean White United Old Road Jets. 0-0 half-time, and that goal came in the 73rd minute via the boots of Raheem Francis. Rams Village Superstars, the defending champions, winning 1-0. I was beginning to get a little concerned because they seemed a bit off of the pace. And Sunday 21st, Development Bank, St. Peter's, they were all over Trafalgar South Stars. That is 3-0 at halftime and 6-0 full time. Skellig Trafalgar South Stars. We had scoring for St. Peter's. Kirkland Harris, he had a brace in the 14th and 33rd. He has been playing since Noah built the ark, but he's still there. Aiden Nurse, a veteran as well, he made it 3-0 in the 35th. Dionys Stevens, one of the younger players, but he's been around a little bit. He in the 59th, Shaquille Bazi, he came through the youth system and he's been the tower of strength for St. Peter's. In the 78th minute, Jaden Duncan, transferring from out of Flo Forgy-Keon Rockets, he netted in the 83rd, 6-0. In the second game, boy, this was something else. One of the things about champions, they never say die. Sol Island Otto Connery coming up against SL Horsford's St. Paul's United. 1-0 halftime in favor of Sol Island Otto Connery. Compliments Errol O'Loughlin in the 24th minute. Referee playing stoppage time. 6 minutes second half. And I actually think it was 8 minutes second half. And St. Paul's really turned it up a notch, off 5, actually. And they were able to squeeze the equalizer. They stole a point from the jaws of defeat. And Modasso Howe had an own goal in the 90+6 minutes. And my, that was the end of that. 1-1, and the defending champions still running things, they still have not lost a match as yet. As a matter of fact, they are the only team not to in the Premier. If we take a quick look, Trafalgar South Stars, they are on a comb. Everybody play 8 matches and they ain't score a goal yet. Not even things really bad with them, Not even an own goal they score yet, I think. So that's how, when it comes to not scoring, maybe if they score 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 own goals, maybe they'll be able to score in the other side of the net. Skellet Garden Hotspurs, winning 1, drawing 2, losing 5 points. Sol Island Otto Connery in 8th position, winning 2, drawing 3, losing 3, 9 points. Honda Newtown United in 7th position, winning 3, drawing 1, losing 4. They are 10 points. And 12 points in the 6th position, Hot Springs Bath United, winning 4, losing 4. So they are well balanced, some people may say. 2 teams on 13 points. In 5th position, Development Bank St. Peter's, winning 4, drawing 1, losing 3, 13 points. They have a goal difference of 5, scoring 16 and 11 against them. Montreal Farm United Clean Rights Old Road Jets. Also on 13 in fourth position. Winning 3, drawing 4, losing 1. But their goal difference is 8, a better goal difference ahead of Development Bank. So they have netted 16 and they have given up 8. Flow Forge Keon Rockets tied with the defending champions Rams Village Superstars on 15. But Flow Forge Keon Rockets in third based on an inferior goal difference, winning 4, drawing 3, losing 1. They've had 14 goals for 9 against. They have a goal difference of 5. Rams Village Superstars also on 15, but they're in second because of a better goal difference, 8 points. Winning 5, losing 3. Out front, the only undefeated team in the Premier League this year is the SL Horsford St. Paul's United. They've won 6 and drawn 2. They're yet to lose a point. And they are 20 points sitting at the top of the table. Now, in terms of the most prolific or most offensive team, Rams Village Superstars, SL Horsford, St. Paul's, both have scored 17 goals. But St. Paul's, they have been extremely stingy for the year, only giving up 3 so far. And we're getting to the end of round 1. We have one final round of matches left. There are 10 teams in the Premier. All teams have played 8, so they have one more match to play to complete round 1. But let's take a point in terms of the goals. Kimari Rogers, Rams Village Superstars, he's out front on 6 goals. We have a 3-way split between Colungi Clark, SL Horsford St. Paul's United, Keith Y. Freeman, SL Horsford St. Paul's United, Shine Prentice, Fluffo GK and Rockets. All of these have 5 goals. So it's going to be a ding-dong battle. I don't think it's going to be any giving up at all by St. Paul's. I think they're going to be coming really, really rough. They're coming back for the trophy, I believe. But I don't think Village is going to give it up either. No. I think Village is going to really want to mash up things and go on bad and maintain. They extend their 6 championships to 7. And we're going to have to wait and see how that works out. But in terms of the fixtures coming up in the Premier Division, on Thursday 25th at 8 p.m. Sorry, at 6 p.m. Thursday 25th at... Hold on. Wake up if you're sleeping. Thursday 25th, yes, at 8 p.m. at Warner Park. Development Bank St. Peter's coming up against Sol Island Otto, Connery Kimball Ward, the referee Lenroy Paris, Austin Batt. They're in the middle. Jermaine Wickham is the 4th official. Kendria Tully, the referee's assessor. On Saturday 27th, we're having a doubleheader at 6 p.m. Trafalgar South Stars. That is Skellig Trafalgar South Stars coming up against Honda Newtown United. Sanchez Bass carries the whistle. Austin Batt, Johan Newkirk supporting him on the line. David Phipps the 4th. Lloyd Rouse, the referee assessor. Saturday 27th at 8 p.m. the feature game of the doubleheader. Montreal Farm Clean Right United Old Road Jets coming up against Hot Springs Bath. 8 p.m. Akeem Harvey, he's the man in the middle. Lenroy Paris, Kenwin Collins, his assistant, and the Jermaine Wickham the 4th. Kenny Martin is the referee assessor. And on Sunday, a doubleheader as well at 6 p.m. Rams Village Superstars coming up against Kellett Garden Hotspurs. Reginald Gums, the referee Jaden Rose, Jevian Archibald on the line. Shanda Wilkinson the 4th. Garfield Vorgo, the referee assessor. And we have at 7 p.m. SL Horsford St. Paul's United versus Fluffo GK Rockets. Kimball Ward in the middle. Mario Parry, Tyra Wilkinson on the lines. And Kareem Benjamin the 4th. Kendria Tully is the referee assessor. for the female finals on Thursday 25th at Warner Park. Shanda Wilkinson will be the referee. Tyra Wilkinson and Juniqua match with the assistants. Makila Dylan Serju, the fourth official. Troy Biff Mills is the referee assessor. And if we slip down quickly to Division 1, boy, a lot of things happening here. If you look at the point standings for Division 1, 607 Construction Lodge Patriots. They're still on a comb, yet to score a point. All teams have played 7 matches. They've lost all 7. So that's a perfect record, actually a perfect loss record. Rivers of Living Water in 9th, 1 point. They've drawn just the 1 match and lost 6. KFC Challengers United in 8th with 4 points, winning 1, drawing 1, losing 5. Connery Fireballs International in 7th with 9 points, winning 3, losing 4. Molyneux, they in 6th with 10 points. And this is virgin territory for Molyneux, really. Molyneux normally hold the bottom of the table and they hold it hard with crazy glue in their hand and things like that. And so they are looking good with 10 points, 3 victories, 1 drawn, 3 losses. Fast Cash Saddlers United, who put a trouncing on somebody there last week, 16 goals. They are 5th, winning 4, losing 3, 12 points. Mantab in 4th, winning 4, losing 2, drawing 1. Winning 4, losing 1, drawing 2. They have 14 points. Trans Global Engineering Bay Eagles in 3rd, winning 4, drawing 3. So they are one of 2 teams yet to lose a match. They have 15 points. Security Forces United, they went down 1-0 to Jones Group Sandy Point, and that's the first match they lost. They're second with 16 points, winning 5, drawing 1, losing 1. And the Jones Group Sandy Point, they started out with a bang, and they're still continuing with a bang. The one of 2 undefeated teams. They've won 6, they've drawn 1, and they're standing high, pretty mighty, and smelling sweet in the number 1 position. They are 19 points, but hey, I don't know what's going to happen. They played 7, they have 18, so I don't know what's going to happen in 11 matches from now, because the race ain't for the swift, the race is for who endure it to the end. And in terms of leading goal scorers, Dequan Watley, he's from Fast Class Saddlers, he has 11 points. Sylvester Alexander Mantab, 8. Eversley Foy, Security Forces United, 6, along with Jermaine Carey from Mantab. 3 persons on 5, Dion Dolphin, Security United Forces, Kareem Burrell, Security Forces as well, Shaquan Pemberton, Jones Group, Sandy Point. Those are the leading goal scorers. And in terms of matches coming up, today the 23rd, Security Forces, they are currently taking on Connery Fireball United at the Technical Center. All the first division matches are generally played at Technical Center. Jody, Travesta Richards, Jaden in the middle, Jaden Rose, Jevian Archibald on the lines, David Fix the 4th. And in the feature game of the doubleheader tonight, Jones Group Sandy Point will be coming up against Connery Fireball International at 8 p.m. That's in another 33 minutes or thereabouts, so you still have time to get there. Jody Walters, the referee, Latoya James and Alexis Joseph, the assistants, Reginald Gums, the 4th official. And then we have on Wednesday, tomorrow, Godspeed, just the 1 match, Trans Global Engineering Bay Eagles against Molyneux, David Phipps, Makila Odein, Josh Walters, Jodel Match with the officials. And then we have Thursday, a doubleheader at 6 p.m., 607 Construction Lodge Patriots versus Rivers of Living Water. Jody Walters, the referee, Latoya James, and Alexis Joseph, the assistant, Sanchez Bass, the 4th. And the feature game, KFC Trinity Challengers United versus Mantab at 8 p.m. Travesta Richards, Jaden Rose, Jevian Archibald, and Kareem Benjamin, the 4th official. So that's how things are looking for the football at the moment. And we say congrats to the winners. keep your head up to the losers. It's not all over. We still have a long, really long way to go. And you have to keep your head in it. You can't just say, hey, you're down, you're out. But we have to see how that will work out. And that's it for, well, one final thing for football. The reminder, the second registration transfer window, as it was for the SKNFA, that is going to run from the 6th of May to Monday 6th May to Monday 3rd June. During the second registration period, member clubs are allowed to register and transfer players. The note for the deadline is the 3rd of June. The transfer and loan fees as follows. Transfer $300 per player, and the loans are $200 per player. So get your acts together and transfer your players appropriately to avoid losing points and perhaps facing some sort of penalties. We are now into the premier part of the program per se, because this is a second tribute to the late Alfonso Bridgewater, and we have our first set of guests in the studios with us, and we're going to be getting to them in a second. You're listening to On the Ball 98.9 here in FM, a program being held every Tuesday from 7 to 9 with me, Troy Biff Mills. We thank you for listening. And at any time, you can call in 466-0989. Or if you're too shy and you're like me and you want to call in, then what you'll have to do is actually WhatsApp me, and I'll be able to take care of that for you. So stick and stay. Don't go away. We'll be back in a second or seven. Thank you. Welcome back to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9. I am Troy Biff, your host, and we have in studio with us a representation of the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee. So let us go straight to Studio 2 and say good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Win FM 98.9 and On the Ball. Of course, you're both no strangers at all.
Good evening, Biff.
Good evening, Troy. Thank you, and good night to you and your listening audience, of course.
Thank you very much for joining us. You look like you're two gentlemen shy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Could you tell us who you are, please?
Well, yeah, I'm Glenn Jeffers. I'm the Secretary General for the Olympic Committee.
And less than the executive member of the Olympic Committee.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we were greeted with the shocking news week before last about the loss of a stalwart, a tremendous person, a tremendous human being in the person of the late Alfonso Bridgewater. Yeah. And I think the whole country is still coming to grips with that loss because Bridges, he would have basically touched the lives of most and many people, not only just in sport, not only in the administration, but in the workplace, solid waste and that sort of thing. We had Mr. McCall here with us last week, and he was able to tell us a lot of things about him. Bridges pulling up his shirt and going going in the rural, working on the garbage truck, and people walk out. No, man, that can't be the general manager of solid waste, pushing garbage and things like that. But we want to hear more of Bridges from the SKNOC administrative point of view. When was the first time you gentlemen came across Bridges from an SKNOC point of view? Started working with him.
Let me kick off the bat there, because I'm from the Market Street, College Street got there, so Bridges even before the Olympic time. He playing football with Chelsea, even though I was a big Santos fan, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But my interaction with him in terms of the Olympic movement is when I was elected first to the Olympic Committee. I was treasurer of basketball at the time. Right, this was back in '93. So in September, I got elected on the Olympic Committee as a treasurer. And Bridges, he won't get to work one time. So in about less than a week or 10 days, we were in a meeting at the this is where Grant Thornton is right now. There used to be the Peace Corps office, the TDC building where Grant Thornton is right there. We had my first executive meeting was there around October 6th, So because we had to be prepared, we had to prepare for what we call the Ponce Games. That's the Pan American. Say it again. That Ponce. Yeah.
It was like a classic.
Yeah, in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Well, in Puerto Rico. So that's my first coming into the Olympic movement. With Keith Heiliger, the then Secretary General, keeping me on his wings and British leadership. So that's the first time I came into the Olympic movement, and we were right off the bat, straight to work with British leading charge.
For me, Troy, similar to Glenn, my time with Bridges goes way back from when he was at the Youth and Community. Yeah. In terms of Bridges in the sporting fraternity, we would have done a lot of work together. Back in the 80s and the 90s, we had done Texaco games back in the 90s, leading right up to 2000s, the Carifta Games held in St. Kitts, the first one held here. Me becoming a member of the Olympic Association back in, I think, 2013. And from there on, I mean, we've traveled, I would say, the world, and worked very closely with him. He was the type of person that he supported you just about in everything you did, but you learned quite a bit from him as you journeyed along that path with him. He was a very open person, somebody who took the opportunity to teach you the things and to support you as you grew into your role. So that is one of the things I would really miss about Alfonso. He was really a rock and somebody that you could lean up on. And if he had your confidence, if he believed in you, he believed in you. I mean, Bridges would go to bat for you to make sure that you had what you needed to achieve the goals that you were setting out to meet. So really somebody that I am missing today, and somebody I think I will miss for some time to come.
If my memory serves me right, in 1992, St. Kitts and Nevis became members of FIFA. The Football Association, St. Kitts and Nevis became members of FIFA. And that would have given us the number we needed to become members of the IOC. Shortly after that, St. Kitts and Nevis became members of the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. And at the first elections, Bridges would have been elected president. If I'm not mistaken, I think Dennis Knight, Freddie Knight, the vice president. The secretary, I think, would have been Keith Heiliger, who has just joined us.
Yes.
So we're going to say good evening to him in a bit. And I think Quinlan may have been the treasurer. I can't remember.
No, I was still there.
Oh, you were the treasurer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I came in that wave.
Okay. I had the good fortunes of being elected as an executive member as well, because at the time I was vice president of the St. Kitts Amateur Volleyball Association.
That's correct.
So
yes.
I would have gone to the meeting in that capacity, and I was elected.
Yes.
And
Let's reflect that.
so my experiences with Bridges from that capacity was somewhat short. I can't remember when I was no longer a member there, but I would have known him. As we say goodnight to Mr. Keith Heiliger. Good evening, sir. Welcome to On the Ball here at WinFM 98.9.
Good evening, host. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And tell us a little about yourself, please, sir.
Quickly.
Well, I have been in the sporting arena for many, many years. I was a competitor as a cyclist way back when in 1980s. It's 1970s, from like 75, 74, 75 upwards. I remember that I was the secretary for the St. Kitts Amateur Cycling Association from way back like 1976, and Vincent Benjamin and Cedric Lappy Maynard. They were the forerunners in the cycling fraternity then, and they were glad that I came along to help them. And so they pushed us to get ourselves affiliated to the Cycling Federation in 1976, I think it was. And so they wanted to compete in the Commonwealth Games in 1978 in Edmonton, Alberta. And so we had to do our groundwork ahead of time. So we went along and spoke with Mr. Rupert Lake in Antigua. He was the president of the Olympic Committee in Antigua then. And so he came here in 77, I think, and assisted us in getting our association on the ball with the affiliation to the International Cycling Union. And then we asked Athletic Association then, president was Freddie Knight, and we asked him to, get themselves geared up to join us to form the Commonwealth Games Association. And we did that again in 1977. And so in 1978, we sent off our application to the Commonwealth Games Federation sometime in March, and we got provisional affiliation. And as a provisional member, we were invited to take part in the Commonwealth Games in 1978. It was a short one, yes, but we managed to scrape through. And we went along, and from there, we were basically like the trendsetters. And because of what we did then, we decided we're going to try and go for the Olympics this time. And we thought that we would have been able to make it to the Olympics in 1980, but it didn't happen. The Olympics were held again in 1984, and then again in 1988. We never did make it that time, but
that's sad.
Yeah, we kept at it.
But before the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee in 1993, there was an organization that would have been championing the cause for Olympics, etc. Were you a part of that committee, Keith?
Yes, I was.
What was the name of that committee?
There was an association called the International Sports Association that started in Mr. Prokop's shop as on Baker's Corner. And there were a number of associations who were part of that. And then from that, we then branched off into the Commonwealth Games Association. And then we branched off into the Olympics.
And you were part of that. And
Yeah,
in 93, when we had the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympics committee being formed.
Yes. No, it wasn't formed then. The Olympic Committee was formed in May 1986.
But at that time, from my understanding, St. Kitts and Nevis didn't have the required minimum number of national associations affiliated to the international parent body.
Yeah, we did. We had athletics, cycling, volleyball, basketball, and boxing, I think.
But my understanding is in 1992, when the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association became members of FIFA, that is when that required number was achieved, and the Olympic SKNOC came into being a few months after that.
That is not true.
So what was the case? What prevented that from happening?
Politics.
Well, as Glenn just said, it's politics. What happened, right, is that at the time there was a sort of imbalance between the English-speaking countries and the Spanish-speaking countries in PASO. That's the Pan American Sports Organization. And so the Spanish countries realized the English countries only needed 3 more countries to join, and then it would be in a level playing field.
Oh, politics.
Yes. So they were the ones who kind of kept us at bay. And then how we got into the Olympic committee is that in 92 or 93, there was a meeting held, and they allowed Palestine to join the Olympic Committee. And so Mike Fennell from Jamaica went along to Samaranch, who was the president then of the IOC, and he told him, look, how can you bring in Palestine? Palestine is not a state. There are 3 countries in the Caribbean, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and Dominica. I have been knocking on your doors for years, and you wouldn't let them in.
Oh.
And so Samaranch sat down, and he realized, look, this is double standard. And Samaranch gave him the assurance that, look, we're going to draw them in. And then in 1993, they brought us in. But we were knocking on their door since 1986.
Okay, I understand
You
that.
understand?
But
politics.
fast forward to your relations with the Bridges in terms of your working with him from that Olympic level.
Well, I can remember the first president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee was Keith Morton, and he was elected in 1986, in May 1986, along with myself and the other members. And in 1988, Keith decided that he was going to give up his position as a member of the NOC because he had other engagements, and one of them was he was a founding member of what they call the Brotherhood of St. Andrew, which is a men's group in the Anglican Church. And he wanted to put more of his time into that organization, and he asked that he be relieved of his duties as president of the NOC. And he recommended that Bridges be the one to take over. And that came from a conversation that was held. In the years around that time when we were being formed, Keith's store on Keon Street, Morton's Grocery, was like a meeting place for many persons.
The headquarters.
Yeah, the headquarters. You had the persons from the SEA club and the person from the JCs. And they were both in the same thing, presentation purposes and so on. And so Bridge used to hang out there with us. And there were now other members like Jerome Thomas, Cutie Woods, Isaiah Phillip, Hugh Nisbet, Freddie Knight. There were some females like Donna Manchester, and I think her sister Polly Manchester, and some others used to come around, and it was a big gathering there. And so Bridge was encouraged by Keith at one of those sessions to come in and to replace him as member of the NOC. And Bridge did accept it. So when we had the first meeting that Bridge took over, Keith was also there because Keith introduced Bridge as a new proposal.
And what year was that?
That's 1988.
Okay.
That's so Bridge has been the president since 1988.
What are some of your fondest memories working with Bridge? And this is to all three of you, starting with you, Keith.
Well, Bridge was one person. That same time when he came into the association, and Keith brought him in, basically, Bridge started telling us, look, we're going to start right now to do our work. And we did. Other members thought that he was a bit, jumpy. But we went along with it still, and he started outlining these things. So I guess he used his management skills because he was a trained manager in his studies years ago. And so he brought those skills with him. And he really did a lot in getting us organized. I could remember having him telling me how to do things. And basically it was on the ball. He knew what he was doing. And I'm really happy that I was able to learn a lot from him in running board meetings and that kind of thing. So he was really someone that you learned a lot from.
Yeah,
What about you, Glenn?
Yeah, I said he's a very organized man, and he said he later get going, as Keith mentioned, getting right away. And the funny thing I like about him was that I think it might have been in the 90s, mid-90s, when he said we have to get Olympic house.
Yes.
I come into the movement. I'm into sport. I like to organize my basketball, funding for going places, competing. And President Bridgewater said, we have to get our own building. Olympic house. I said, a house? Yeah, a house. So put the money aside. I don't care where you do the treasure. Put money aside. And that was the directive. And
when you say what year was this?
I think if it wasn't about 95 or before you went to study, 94.
Yeah,
no. Between 93 and 95.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, he did say that, because we do our Olympic courses, and he would say, save some for that rainy day, for that. At the time we were renting up by on 4th Street, Charles Wilkins. Upstairs. Charles Wilkins building. Yeah. Upstairs, Charles Wilkins building on Church
Next to Master's house.
Next to Master's house.
Yes.
Yeah. Charles gave us a concession we went with, because we're a sporting organization, and we said we have to get our own house. And I think he made it happen. I just see that nice, colorful, white building there with his name in his honor. Well deserving, because that's how far back he said you must have a legacy, the building, a house, so you don't have anything in any person's home or anything, you have it one place. And I use that throughout my sporting administration, whereby if I'm an organization, I don't like people holding things in their house, and that really spill off. Of course, I'm accounting and I know my business skills, but he reinforced that to make sure I stay within the guardrails too. We have something to achieve, put money aside, and we must go for that goal. So that was one very good experience I learned from Bridges, working as an administrator.
What about you,
Troy? As I reflect on the man, I think London 2012 would have been a serious time with him. You saw the strength of the man with a lot of things that we had to deal with. But he was calm, he was collected. Funksy were there as well, I think. Yeah. We saw Bridges, the professional, the consummate professional, and how he went about dealing with it. The pleasant moments for me, it's Bridges, not in a formal setting. Bridges when we were relaxed, and that laugh, he had a laugh that he would throw himself back in a chair and open his mouth, and he would just laugh. And those were the moments that I really enjoyed with him. And those were social times. We were out, or we were just having light moments, and something would catch him, and he would just start this laugh.
Yeah, that is true. He had that kind of throwback laugh. Well, what used to make me laugh too is his dress code.
Oh yeah, Bridges had a pair of shoes to match every outfit that he wore.
He said, when you're going, you have one, you are going out dressing this way, you have one brown shirt, we have brown belt, beige belt. I said, beige belt is young people think you wear the color belt. No, you're not going that way. So
He liked to dress.
he liked to dress, but is the colorful he dress, the pretty clothes, I used to call them, the pretty ties, and I said, they're called a Tego man thing, man. You know, he culture, you know. So he out of those bright colors, man. You know, so that's the funnest moment. As I said, make reflection on what Lester was speaking about 2012. I wasn't worried because I know Bridges could handle this. This man was so well respected in the sporting arena that when he make a decision, I know person is gonna still, even though he did not turn how they like it, if Bridges made that decision, it had to be the right decision. And when you came home, you could feel that, hey, cause that's how they kind of pull acceptance. You know, I can recall, I just remember talking to James Barman Hanley. We had some incident at Basketball City. I think it involved Trevor Marty Huggins, some of the best players. And when the matter had to go to disciplinary committee, and they said, well, who is on the disciplinary committee? And as soon as they hear that this is Bridges, they say, oh Lord, there goes everything. They start to beg for pardon and apologize, etc. So I just want to tell you, that's how the kind of person who's going to be serving. You know, well, whatever decision coming down, don't care how big and powerful you are as a sportsman. Somebody at the administrator, the beacon for administration, who was also known for coaching and playing sport, he is on the disciplinary committee. So everybody said, that's a good decision.
You're listening to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, and we have with us in studio members of the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee, led by the Secretary General, Mr. Glenn Jeffers. And we are reminiscing on the life of Bridges, the late Bridges, from an SKNOC point of view. And he would have served as president for quite a long time, a few decades. And the first part of the program is in his tribute. And you can call 466-0989 and extend condolences to the family of the late Bridges. They are good times, but there are also some battles. How many battles would you have gone through with victories, and who came out with scars?
You mean in meetings? Well, I had a couple number of them. My good buddy, Treasurer Glenn Quinlan, against the president. But when you leave the meeting, everybody locked set with President Bridgewater. And whether it's funding, allocation of funding, etc. You know, so we always have those battles. Lester can tell you, as you said, some heated moments.
Troy, around the table I sat since I joined the Olympic Association, directly to his right. I was always seated next to him on his right-hand side. And when he would bend his head down and he would listen to the argument, but from the time he looked up and his hand went up in the air, that was the end of the conversation, because he was going to get loud. He was going to say what he had to say. He was going to, if he had to beat his hand on the desk, he was going to get his point across. And when he was done, he would, even if he's stammering when he's done, that was the end of that. End of that. Bridges had made a decision.
I heard about this hand in the ear.
Yes.
You know, dog when the hands go off in the ear.
And he had his good right-hand person in Mr. Dennis Freddie Knight, who know to calm thing and set the tone, but he let us go at it and then bring it back down to level. So those are some real moments, but we also get some real hard work done out of those things.
It is early days yet, per se, because the funeral is impending, and I don't want to put any bias or anything on his successor, but how big are the shoes of Bridges to actually fill?
Big.
Yeah,
Very big. Mm-hmm.
It's big. Folks can tell you.
There will never be another Bridges.
Yeah.
That's one thing. So his shoes will be rather huge.
And what are the plans to replace him as president? Have you reached that stage yet, or you want to get the funeral out of the way?
we have to get the funeral out of the way with our members, because we have to have our respective meeting with the member federations, executive first, then member federations, and so forth. The Constitution, I think, outlines what's next steps followed in terms of replacing the president. So,
Are you at liberty to tell us about the funeral?
The funeral is going to be this Friday. It starts at 12:30 at the St. George's Anglican Church. It's going to be an official funeral. It was deemed an
Prime
official
Minister
funeral
said
by the government, by cabinet, and I expect to see quite a large cross section of persons from St. Kitts, Nevis, and throughout the diaspora coming to pay respects to somebody who was not only a great sportsman but was well known in the community across different areas. So it is going to be an emotional time, I'm sure, for the family and for all of us in our own way. But we are planning for Friday. And just to touch on the point that went before, I don't think any one of us have given any thought to who replaces Bridges at this stage. That will come sometime down the road, and we will deal with it when we have to deal with it. But as of now, it is about our friend who was gone.
was gone. And that's it. We have persons coming in from overseas.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, we have at least 10 of them so far. We're expecting about 12, but we have at least 10 already confirmed. And these are persons who Bridges work with and they respect, because he was also executive on the Pan American Sporting Organization. That's the body who oversees the Olympic movement in the Americas. And he served there since 2000, right after the Winnipeg
90s,
Olympic
24
Games.
years.
Yeah, he served until his death. He served on the Pan American Sporting Organization as one of its
Executive member.
Executive member.
I think right
And
up
I
to
said,
vice president.
a number of times British were unopposed
right,
because
right,
of
right.
the group we were in, well respected by the Cubans, the Venezuelans, because he was bilingual. And he said British was so warm, and he got good with words. When he wrote out of his speeches, they all flow and they make you leave there thinking on something. That's how British operate. So we have a person like the president of the Dominican Olympic Committee, Mr. Bill Doctrove, the president of Guyana Olympic Committee, Alfred Emmanuel, a very good friend of ours in the OECS from St. Lucia, president of the St. Lucia Olympic Committee, Sandra Osborne from Barbados, she's the president of the Olympic Committee there, Chico Morales, president of the U.S. Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, Ephraim Penn from the BVI, president, Brian Lewis, former president of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee and former president of KNOC. He's now the Secretary General. Annette Knott, that's the Secretary General for the Olympic Committee of
Trinidad
and Tobago. Cliff Williams, he's the Secretary General for the Antigua Olympic Committee. Honorable Chet Green, I don't want to say, you don't want me to call him honorable when he coming for sporting things. So Chet Green, the president of the Antigua Barbuda Olympic Committee, a very good friend of Bridges. He knows Bridges for many years, so he has good affection for Bridges. So he's coming in for that day, even though he have a very important engagement later in the night. He's coming in the morning, attend the funeral, and go back. That's how important he thinks to be this funeral. So we have a lot from our OECS because Mr. Bridgewater was also the president of the Association of National Olympic Committees of the Eastern Caribbean, ANOCES. Like all small NOCs, when we're going into meetings, we prepare ourselves to make sure that they don't forget the small islands. So,
and there's also Donald Anderson from Jamaica.
From Jamaica, yes.
He wanted to come, but
Yes.
he couldn't make it, but he's going to send a tribute.
Yeah.
Right.
There are a number of persons, Troy, that he would have served with, and
we-
unfortunately, there's a meeting this week into this
meeting,
weekend in
Greece.
In Greece.
Yeah, Social National
So
Olympic Committee.
they have traveled already to Greece, but will join us in spirit virtually
Virtually.
to be a part of the funeral. So
Yeah.
That is wonderful. But before we part, any final words you'd want to leave with us?
from me, I would say Bridges' legacy is safe. I think we as NOC and the members of the Olympic Committee. Biff, you were there. I think we cemented that by making sure that we gave him the honor of placing his name on the building. As Glenn said, it is something that for many years he wanted to have. He wanted the Olympic movement to have its own home, and he was instrumental in that. And we thought that was a fitting gesture to ensure that for longevity, he is known as the person behind that. I think his legacy will live on.
Yes, those memories, and I said the legacy of building Olympic Committee, where we had, as soon as we got in 96, and then by 2000 we were like in Olympic finals, Keith, and then onwards we were also again in knocking on the door in bringing other sports into the Pan American body. So those foundational blocks, I think, set us on the right pathway so for those who come in after could really lead us into that future, keep that momentum going.
Well,
So I just want to say to it's a sad time. I want to wish the family to stay strong during this time, and we're sure going to have a very good celebration of our president's farewell to us on Friday.
Well, I'll say that he made an indelible mark on the entire community, not even just sports, but with the solid waste management and the his contribution to the youth and community development. He was always like a household name ever since he started working there. I think he was one of the first persons in the 80s. Yeah.
Yes.
He was a teacher at first, and then he went and studied at Cable, I think, and then he came back and was the youth and community officer after Melvin Edwards.
Yes, Melvin. Yes.
And then he worked up at that building for many years.
Next to Basketball City.
Right next to Basketball City, and then he went off to the Peace Corps. Right, and he stayed there for a number of years also, and then he went into solid waste management, and basically the foundation that he left at solid waste management is second to none.
Yes.
Right, so what they're reaping now is basically his
The foundation laid by him.
Yeah.
I was present as president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association at the general meeting, and I feel very honored and privileged to have initially moved the motion to have the name of the building be the Alfonso Bridgewater building, and after some tweeting, I was honored to be the one to second the final process of it. I think it's well deserving. And like you mentioned, then it's going to be a very sensitive meeting, a very touching meeting, a very solemn occasion. And on behalf of the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association, the management and staff of Win FM 98.9, and myself, host of On the Ball, and my family, I extend condolences again to the family of the late Alfonso Bridgewater, and yourself, the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee, the Commonwealth Games, and basically all his friends and colleagues. And he will be tremendously missed. And I think for decades, even after our time, he will still be spoken about. As you mentioned, Lester, his legacy will live on. Yeah. And we actually, I suspect that the family is hurting because of Bridges' contribution. They'll feel very comforted, very, very at ease for the type of person he would have done. And the government would have realized that. And they have given him an official funeral as well, which you don't have too many persons who are not into the political and that sort of realms getting that. So that is a tremendous honor in itself. And I think things like these would cause the family to be comforted and find strength in him transitioning to the great beyond. Gentlemen,
one last thing I'll recommend to as a past member of the NOC, and to recommend to the members here, that we start thinking about getting a bust made in honor of Bridge. We can either put a bust or we can get an entire statue. and we put it in the Olympic Committee's
There-
office.
there's as Keith says, boss, there's a joke that we always had between me and him. I had the opportunity to visit the Olympic Museum in Lausanne, and he had always been talking about the founder of the Olympic movement,
Yeah, Pierre de Coubertin.
Pierre de Coubertin. That was always his big thing, you know. And I said to him, there's a bus of Pierre de Coubertin in the thing, we need to get it. And he just laughed, this big laugh, that thing. So, Funks, I think you're right. A bus of bridges in the museum when the museum is
And that
finished
is
and we
when
open
the
it.
last part of the final phase of the building
Yeah,
is that museum.
the museum.
Which he always, to bring all those artifacts out and on display. Well said, Funks. Well said.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for being with us. We look forward to the funeral. I will be there along with a contingent from the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association. We congratulate you on the work you have been doing and the support you would have been giving to Bridges and opening up to be learning from him. And again, best wishes to the family, Bridges, and his name will remain long, strong, and tall here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we do thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for having us.
You've been listening to an interview with the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee. They've been here speaking about Bridges in the tribute. Our tribute is part 2 to the life of Bridges. And we thank them for being here. But we're now going to get into some cricket. And we have some very powerful men here. Well, not with us in the studio, but via technology. Just give us a second. We'll be right back. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. And we will be with you on the ball here at Win FM 98.9. Welcome back to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9. I am Troy Biff Mills, your host, and we're going to be getting into cricket now. A lot of cricket happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, it ended in the Caribbean, and it's also happening around the world. And we have two heavyweights, powerful men in cricket, and we're using the technology to have them here with us. We have Mr. Samuel Spencer, the chairman of the selection committee for the Leeward Island Cricket Board's senior men's team. Good evening, Sam. Welcome to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9.
Good evening, Troy. It's a pleasure to be here.
And a name I've been hearing since when I was in my mom's belly, so to speak, around cricket, Mr. Hugo out of Antigua and Barbuda. And he would have played cricket, I understand, at some levels, but perhaps better known for being the manager of the Leeward Islands team for quite a long time. Good evening, Mr. Goa. Welcome to On the Ball here at Win FM 98.9.
Well, good evening, Troy, and good evening to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I hear you introducing us as two powerful men, but I would think you're the powerful person saying that you said that you've been hearing about me since you're in your mother's stomach. That's unusual. You must be a powerhouse.
Indeed, I understand the gentleman. And well, currently there's a cool and smooth cricket tournament happening in here in St. Kitts. It started last night, T20 tournament, and I know cool and smooth has been happening in Antigua for the time being. But I'd like us to start with the regional 4-day competition that just concluded. And Mr. Spencer, Sam, I must extend my empathy. Well, I'm affected. I'm a West Indian as well. I'm Leeward Islands, but you in terms of the chairman of selectors, especially since the Leeward Islands was on a good roll, you have my empathy for us. As I've been saying, giving away the championships at the end.
Most certainly, I think we were really on a good roll. We went into the game with Barbados just needing to win that game or accumulate points or even draw the game. Unfortunately, we played our worst cricket in the tournament during that match, where we allowed Barbados to accumulate some 500 runs plus, and our batting did not click at all in both innings. Hence, Barbados was able to take the game.
Were you following the tournaments, you? And the league was.
Oh yes, very much so.
And what are you?
Yeah, I followed a lot of it. As I tell you, I'm a technological dunce, but somebody taught me how to get it on YouTube. And as I said on a program earlier, which you may have heard in St. Kitts when they asked me, I was speaking about the Louis brothers and other members of the team, and they asked me what I thought about the championship. I said, of course, Leeward's going to win the championship, but you see, a lot of people didn't hear the last part. The last part, I said, they will win the championship if they remain focused. That's just where we lost it. I couldn't believe it's the same team I watched playing against Barbados. Couldn't believe it. You know, very disappointed, but it's all part of life. You know, I haven't managed for years and played for years. These things happen, but what really hurts me is that we could have done better. We had a right to win this championship, played hard enough for it, you know, and we just fell down in that game. I can't say the reason why. I wasn't there, but totally disappointed.
Indeed, and that has been the talking point here in St. Kitts, particularly about the Leewards, because I want to believe I was getting. There was a complete buy-in of us here in St. Kitts into the Leewards and the Leewards winning this year, and it was quite tough to see our performances in Barbados against Barbados, and like that grit, that fight, that toughness, mentally and otherwise. I think we expected a lot more from it. Getting so close and giving away. I'm no cricketer of any great repute, but I've said I believe if I batted left against Barbados, I don't believe they could have got me out. No disrespect to our cricketers, because to me that pitch was just a batting paradise. And we saw it when Barbados batted, just application. Stick there, and you're going to get your runs. The bad balls will come. And we didn't see it going to the levels that it wanted to be. And come the Windward Islands, it was do or die for the Windwards, because they had the lead at the point, and were they to win this match against us, then I suspect, provided especially they pick up a point or two, they would have won the championship, because my position was Leewards first. I really wanted and expected Leewards to win. Just in case we can't, okay, the Windwards. And that match ended in a draw. We were able to get first innings. And the thing about it, to me, the shocker was Barbados losing to the Academy. And I'm not certain how many persons expected that.
Well, you see, that's a game of glorious uncertainty. Yes, the Academy beat Barbados. I didn't really go to the game, but because I was following the Leewards and Windwards on the YouTube. But yet the Academy beat Barbados here. And although they only won by 3 wickets in the end, the application showed by some of these youngsters. And I believe West Indies cricket has a bright future. There's a young guy, I know his father, the umpire, saw young Tuckett. He had a very good season. He kept wicket well, and he batted with a maturity for me beyond his years. And I can't remember the name of the other guys, but they had quite a few good performances, and they actually won 3 games. You know, they actually won 3 games. I think cricket is on the up. It's going to be very interesting, this West Indies team that's going to England. I have my views on it. Some people feel controversial, but is not controversial when you go by performance, because I would think that the two brothers from St. Kitts, the opening bat, and Jeremiah had outstanding seasons, especially, and I keep forgetting his name, who made 682 runs in his first season
Mikhail,
with 3 centuries, and he looks as compact as any I have seen. And I tell you what, the innings he played in Jamaica for 59 was as good as the hundreds he made in the other games. Such a determination, composure. I think he had a little injury, but he has certainly had an outstanding season. And it's going to be interesting to see what the selectors think. I think the young boy, Andrew, played beyond his years also. This is why I say we have a good future ahead of us. You had Carty, who got some good scores, but it's going to be very interesting. You know, it's going to be very interesting. You know, I've always spoken my mind, and I can't
we know you're
see
here in St. Kitts,
that it's not going to happen. I can't see that it won't happen, because I know it's going to have to happen. That either 1 or 2 petitions are going to be on that flight to England. That's my personal opinion. Okay? That's my personal, if not 2-1, and the other one, they have an A team going. But I'm saying that the two of them are very deserving, because, you know, people, and this is where I don't want you to get me wrong. I think that in St. Kitts many years ago, I'd stopped managing. I remember Jeremiah Louis getting 44 wickets in a season, and Berridge getting 25 in 5. Both of them, bowled so well that year, and neither got a pick to England in the A team, and both of them moved the ball and swing the ball. And I kind of found it interesting. Don't get me wrong, not hitting people in St. Kitts and Nevis. I just found enough noise wasn't made. I remember going on the radio and speaking about it, because I think Jerry got 44 wickets, as I said. Berridge didn't play the whole season, 25. You know, fast bowlers hunting pairs, Robertson, Holding, Griffith and Hall. You understand where I'm coming, Garner and Croft. And here were these two guys doing so well, and neither was selected to go to England. They had a guy who had only played 1 first-class game, and all of them put together didn't get half the wickets that these guys got. And I thought a little more noise could have been made by administrators in St. Kitts, because they certainly did very well. But getting back to this year is going to be interesting. Jerry has performed well over a period of time. Kyle has had an outstanding season. I hear commentators in Trinidad, well, I had to mute them after a while, because the nonsense they were talking about, they don't think he'll make it in England. He's as technically good as any of them, and probably better. Who they're supposed to talk about is Chandra Paul, who in the last 4 test matches has gone between third slip and the keeper. That's who they're supposed to look at. Come down on a guy who's getting behind the ball and played superbly well. So I'm waiting with bated breath to hear what's going to happen. Carty had a few good scores. You know, as I say, we did well, but it's disappointing that we fell down 1 game against Barbados. We fell down the first game too. I was shocked when they ended in St. Kitts.
Yes, the academy beat us.
Very shocked, but yes, the academy or the under 22, whatever that seemed like it gave us, excuse my language, a kick up the donkey. Yeah, we really woke up and started to play good cricket, but I still can't understand what happened against Barbados. And I'm sure Mr. Spencer would agree with me.
Yes, I do share the same sentiments as you as it relates to the selection of the West Indies team that will tour England. Obviously, if you look at performances throughout the competition so far, our leading fast bowler had done exceptionally well. He had garnered approximately 30 wickets. And in that, what is rather interesting is that he always removed the top order batsmen. And this is what we want in West Indies cricket. Fast bowlers who can take out the leading batsmen in the opponent's team. And Jeremiah have proven that throughout the competition. Yes, in the last match, he did not pick up the number of wickets that we had expected, but every single match is not the same. And when you look at his performances overall, no one can doubt that it is not a sterling performance. And I am sure he's now a bother to the selectors because I'm hearing some people talking about a Kimar Roach and a Jason Holder and things like that. And maybe as a selector in my position, there's certain things I should not say, I could not say. But I am a person who speaks my mind when it comes to cricket. I make fair and honest judgment as far as I'm concerned. And for me, Kimar Roach has served West Indies cricket well, but he's past his time. I don't think that he can allow now for him to be still in the West Indies team, getting 4 or 2 wickets on tour or 1 or 2 in his last many tours. And as for Jason Holder, we have other all-rounders in the West Indies who can fit the bill for sure. And Jeremiah Louis is one of them. And as it comes to Kyle Louis, no one can doubt the fact that he's the premier opening batsman at this time in the West Indies, barring none. If you look at his performances, if you look at his improved technique, if you look at the runs scored and against whom he scored the runs, and the circumstances under which he scored his runs, by far, he's definitely the leading opening batsman, and not only the leading opening batsman in the West Indies, but one of the better batsmen on show this season.
Definitely, and a lot of critics are disappointed that, notwithstanding he got 682 runs, the only batter to get above 600, and the opportunities he would have had to go on, turn 50s into centuries, and even centuries into 150s and a double. And there's a little grieving hearts because of that. Notwithstanding, when he came in, there was a group at the airport to welcome him and meet him. And I think that may have caught him off guard. He was pleasantly surprised, and they were there extending good wishes. What I found interesting, in Trinidad and Tobago, some of the commentators would have been saying, I can't remember the name, but basically saying he's on the team, and further, to help him and strengthen him, the efforts should be made to get him go to England between now and that English tour, to get a better climatization of the conditions that he's going to be expecting. Are you aware of any plans, Sam, for that to happen?
I'm not aware of that. It's not customary for a Leewards board to do something of that nature. Of course, if he is selected in the West Indies team and as such can be accommodated and allowed by the West Indies board, I think this would help him tremendously. But irrespective of the fact that he may not be there before the rest of the West Indies team, there's no doubt that Kyle Louis will be on that plane to England to represent the West Indies.
There was a podcast that was going around by a gentleman, perhaps a Jamaican living in England, and I've been seeing them, but I haven't really been looking at them, and I decided to look at this one. It said about the opener, and I was really disgusted with it, because he said on one hand, I can't remember the name he called, all that person has to do is make 3 half centuries to be in the West Indies team. And this was after the 3rd round of matches, where Kyle was already 200 and something plus. And he said Louis, he will have to play. He have to play a few more seasons for consideration to be getting. Shandapal, he hadn't made any run since he had come back. That was before he made the century. And he's saying, well, all he has to do is make a half century or 2, and he's in the West Indies team. And I'm like, okay, if Kyle goes to the end of the season with the most runs, what stupidness are you telling me he'll have to play a season or 2? He's the most informed opening batsman. He's the most informed batsman, period. He not only scored the most runs as an opener, but as a batter, period. Craig Brathwaite, 565 second. We're talking more than 100 and something behind. Kevin Sinclair, 508. Django, 500 flat. So why should he have to bat 2, 3, 4 seasons if he's in form now? Maybe you gentlemen might see some prudence in that, but I
No, you
definitely
see,
can't.
I've been manager Leeward for a few years, and I used to have to tell them like it is. Some of these selectors, you talk about performance. Nothing has went Australia on a performance. Hodge was picked because he performed, and this McKenzie, and they have certainly come back here and haven't set the place alight. They haven't really had the best of seasons. Here is a young man you want to see him for more seasons. Maybe it's because 4 seasons hotel is in Nevis. He's thinking about that, but he's obviously. I wouldn't really like to say what I want to say on this program, but I honestly cannot see because, and I say this with an open mind, but Kyle Louis is the best opener we have in the West Indies, bar none. Bar none. And what all of us must learn to appreciate about the innings that he has played. He's been in when he has opened, when he's lost wickets around him, and he showed maturity beyond his years. It's his first year. His determination. How many of us know he had a little damaged hand and so, but he fought it. He fought through it. And he steadied many innings that he played. He steadied the Leeward's innings. So, you hear these people, and I want to get to something like this. I heard Mr. Spencer, I so agree with him. I wonder if how many y'all saw a video of a game here against Guyana with Primol when Kemar Roach got to the top of his action and actually shied or pelted the ball. Did anybody see that? And you've never heard anything about it? It was disgraceful. I want the world to hear what I'm saying, that it was disgraceful. And in my mind, I don't hear any umpires, no match referee talk about it. Let that have been a Louis or Berridge or Alzari Joseph. Yes, they don't like to hear. They love to say when we're from here about insularity. It's not insularity. Primol was batting well. He made 90. You obviously, Foster was running down to him or chipped out. And he stopped in his tracks and they had words. And he came in, and I would like people to go and look at it. Go and look at it and see what Hugo is saying. And then with Holder wasn't picked in the IPL. This is a man that was paid very highly the year before, wasn't picked. Then he goes off to Dubai. I don't know what kind of season he had. Then he comes back here and plays 1 or 2 matches, you see. I have a different philosophy. It's just like the guy Seals. I think he played a couple of 2 to 3 games. I don't know if he got more than 3 wickets as such. But he's off to England. My thing in life is, right? Yes, they have their contracts to fulfill. We have our local tournament, and you must participate. If you're injured, I can understand. And then you hear people saying, I was listening to Andrew Mason, he says, and they talk about the team, these weeks ago. Well, you have Roach and Holder. Roach has served West Indies team superbly, but the time has come. And so has Holder. The time has come. Holder is no more as threatening as he used to be. Holder's cricket has gone down. Not the same Holder. He too has served the cricket well. But there comes a time where you have to say thank you. We have too many people around.
Indeed.
Jerry Louis is around. Anderson Phillip is around. We have too many people around that can fill the spots. And we have got to learn that. But you see, this is how life goes, and sometimes we're afraid to talk. As I tell people, the only place Hugo has to go is St. John's Cemetery or the one in the country. But I'm always going to tell it like it is. We must be fair. Performance, there's no way, and I hope they're all listening, that Louis cannot go to England as our premier. Well, Brat is more experience. What more must he do? What seasons? What seasons are they talking about? Some of these people performed for half a season ago. Some of them don't even get 5 wickets. Some of them make 30 and 40 and, they look good. We must stop this foolishness. When somebody's as dedicated as Kyle was and gets 682 runs in your first season, that's outstanding. That's unbelievable. And how he got them showed a certain sense of maturity beyond his years. Who would have believed he was playing the first season? I get very emotional. And people in St. Kitts must stand up and let their voice be heard. Let it be heard. Because people, I can bring up all these things. Victor Eddy, not because Victor is like a brother to me. Victor should have gone to India years ago.
Oh, yes.
When that first team went to thing, he made 200s in the tournament. Livingston Harris, I remember Tony Cozier got down on Dwyer, Astafan, my good friend, because Dwyer gave his opinion. And I got down on Cozier. I was not afraid to challenge Cozier. I have two eyes like him. I get very emotional. Very, very emotional. Foolishness, you say, you listen and somebody saying have more seasons. More what seasons? And I thought the commentators in Trinidad were a bit biased too.
Indeed,
The
yes.
thing about me is they can reply and say what they want to say. My shoulders are broad. Huh? But stop this foolishness. Stop this foolishness. When people have done well, give them the due. Y'all in St. Kitts have to stand up. Stand up. Let your voice be heard. This is not about the favoritism. This is two guys that have performed and performed outstandingly. We have others who are challenging. We had Carty who did well. We have the young guy, Joel Andrew, who I understand now is in the under-23 team to Ireland or wherever. But what I'm saying is we have got to learn to stand up in these islands. Sometimes we're killing ourselves. We need to support our own. We need to support our own. And I will go back to the big example. 44 wickets in a season. Berridge got 25, maybe more. I know he didn't play all the games. And neither of them went to England with the 18. And not a voice was heard. I can't remember anybody talk. I know I spoke about it. And others here. We have to get out there and let our voice be heard. We don't have to be aggressive. We don't have to be rude. Facts. Nothing in the world beats facts. Nothing being hard about being a selector. If you have to choose between two guys and one a little better, well, you tell the other one, little unfortunate try. But not when somebody's so outstanding. Not when somebody's so outstanding. It's a joke. And this is why our cricket is suffering. And I am waiting. Because I can assure you, when I hear this team, look out. I'm not going to be too easy. I'm waiting to hear the team. I'm waiting to hear it. And I want to know why Seals was sent to England. He got injured. He came back, he played. He wasn't bowling as well. So let him finish off the season. You're competing. That's what you're doing. This is not a thing about your certainty. None of y'all have any will in West Indies team, but it seems so. Seems as if they will y'all in there. It's a joke. It's a total joke. Total joke that's going on. And who don't want to hear it, that's their business. But I know this is facts I'm talking. There's no way a man in his first season can make 682 runs responsibly so, with a lot of maturity. And you're going to tell me, with England, whatever, I am waiting to hear. Jerry didn't bowl as well as I would have liked the last game, but he bowled superbly throughout the season. That's why we were near the top. And he's been getting wickets for years and making runs. What must he do? What more? Holder and Roach. Yeah, people afraid to talk, not me. Holder is my good friend. Roach is my good friend. But I call a spade a spade. And we have got to stand up. Stand up and let our voices be heard. Y'all have all the internet and so. Go on Zoom. Let Sportsmax call y'all. Tell them what y'all have to say. Because it's there, it's facts. Nothing can stop performance. Don't tell me about next season. Antonez, Shanja Paul, all of them had a good season and went, didn't it? This is an outstanding season. The joke we're making joke around this place. When these guys from these islands, I lived in Barbados many years. I played for Barbados youth team. I have great friends there. Great friends around the Caribbean. But they know how it is with me. I must say what I have to say. I must say, look back at this. This is one thing I want to say. Raymond Reefer batted number 2 for West Indies. What y'all telling me? You know what they said? Oh, he made runs for Barbados that year. Okay. So he made it. Okay. Booby Thomas didn't play here. How many of y'all remember that? He didn't even get a chance. And he's by far a better player. If they blindfold Booby, he can bat more than Raymond Reefer.
Indeed.
This is what goes on. This is what goes on. Yes, if the blindfold booby, he's got himself in a little trouble. Wish him all the best, you know. And I also want to say I was fortunate enough to speak to Mrs. Bridgewater to accept my sympathies. You all have lost a stalwart, and I don't use these words lightly, and a great man, a great patriot of St. Kitts and Nevis. Tell you all that. A wonderful human being.
Indeed, thank you.
May God bless his soul. May it rise in glory.
Sam.
Looking at what you have just said, there isn't very much that I can add to that. And I would like to say that as a selector, one has to be honest. You've got to look at a situation where your integrity is at stake, and you should not at any time make bad for anyone's career, because it can come back to haunt you as a human being. And given what I've seen so far this season, and my first season as chairman of selectors for the Leewards, I think that, I have around me individuals who I can discuss cricket with, who has a clear understanding of things. People like Hugo himself, and of course many others who have an interest in cricket and who have at least made contributions in a way that would enhance Leewards cricket. And for me, having heard you tonight is only a testimony of some of the things that we have discussed in cricket and some of the things that we want to see. And, him talking about the Louis brothers and others whom he feel that should have an opportunity to play for the West Indies is only in all fairness and honesty. No bias at all in that. No insularity in our cricket is what I am preaching. Whether you're West Indian, if you're West Indian, you're a Kittitian, a Division, a Monstrattan, a Barbadian, or whatever, a Jamaican, what we want always is the very best for West Indies cricket at all times. And from where I sit, that is what I strive for. And with the support of my board, the Leeward Islands board, we are going to ensure that we put more players into the West Indies team.
Indeed, Sam, you did say on a previous program here, it's Hugh's first visit with us, but you've been here several times, and we appreciate that. And you did say that that's one of the things you're looking forward to, having about 6 Leeward Islands players. And there's the argument, discussion here in St. Kitts and Nevis, that when the Leeward Islands team is strong, Leeward Islands cricket strong, West Indies cricket is strong. And the last time I could recall West Indies cricket really being strong was when we had about 4, 5, 6 Leeward Islanders on that team. And since then, we have not had that. So that is a good thing. And the gentleman I have here in the studio with me, a colleague of mine who's been in here a few times, Mr. Eustace Maynard. Good evening, Eustace. Welcome to On the Ball here at FM 98.9.
Hi, Troy. Good evening to you and to listeners in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis throughout the Leewards and around the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, and many who, wherever you are around the world, tune into this very, very important and popular program. We are here tonight, and I have my cake and the drinks. I only came to just give support because I am extremely proud and pleased of these 2 outstanding giants who would have represented the Leeward Islands and have done this country, the Leeward Island, and by extension West Indies, proud. And by listening to these very important giants who you invited to be a part of this very important program tonight, and I have tremendous respect for Hugo, who would have made tremendous contribution over the years as a coach, as a manager, especially as a manager who would have molded, I'm telling you, developed and enhanced many of the former Leeward Island players. and those even who are still around, he need to be commended for his excellent and outstanding contribution, and a man who I have tremendous respect for, and I want to salute him, congratulate him, and commend him for his tremendous contribution. So I am only here tonight just to give support. I note that these guys would have started the program. They have set the stage, the standard, the discussion tonight has been excellent to a very high standard. And with you in the hot seat, who in the chair, who is large and in charge, doing an excellent job, coming week after
week. Can I intrude on you? We have a caller. Let's go to the line and say good evening to this caller. Oh, sorry, I missed the caller. I was a little late. Sorry about. It's calling back.
Okay.
Good. Sorry, we lost that caller. Caller, I do apologize. Please call back. Or it seems that the person is calling.
Yeah, maybe the lines, I think, not working too well from since this morning. They are being.
Please continue to call back. 4660989 caller. I do apologize that I wasn't able to get you.
And as I wrapped up, Troy, because I want you to get back to Hugh and Spencer and give them the opportunity to share the expertise, because they would have seen the performances from, right there, live and living colors. Spencer as the chairman of selectors, and Hugo, who has been around the cricket. So I will give them the opportunity. All what I have to say, that I have said from this forum, from this program, from this station, that Louis is the best batsman in the West Indies. And I am here with my cake and the moment to celebrate in advance
of the calls.
The call.
We appreciate that,
our
Houston.
guys in the West Indies team. And I will leave it there. When I round up, I just have a few more things to say.
Thanks a lot. And you mentioned Joel Andrew. 17 years, I think. Just fresh back from the ICC World on the 19 Championship. And getting into the Leewards team and holding his own. It was the chairman Sorry, continue.
He was, first of all, you have to give Mr. Spencer, for me, a big plus for the job he did this year. As being chairman of selectors or selector for the first time. He's been chairman of the local association here. But I've known Spence many years, and a lot of people taking him for granted. But he's a person who knows a lot of cricket, has a lot of knowledge. He would have played with Enoch and the famous Lewis brothers out at Sweets and so. Watch cricket together. But this Joel Andrew is a special talent. He's 17 and he's just got to curb his, he's got to be more careful with his shot selection, because he's undoubtedly one for the future. Very technically sound. I mean, like the little reverse sweep he played in the game there. Had I been manager, he would have had to do a few rounds around the field with me and we have a little talk. But he's certainly one for the future. Durham had well, Cornwall was his easy self. Oh, well, Durham, I thought, very well, a beautiful action. But I must say this before I go. There's a young under 15 player that came here in the tournament. He's from St. Kitts.
LaShawn Dixon.
Yeah.
LaShawn Burgon.
That's the guy. Let me tell you all this. I will say tonight, once he continues with the attitude, seems a very humble person. I had to congratulate him one time. I saw innings he made. I think it was 60 something. Really a class act. You all have got to keep your eyes on him, because there are many other Louis and so in St. Kitts, but he's certainly one for the future for me. I think he played in the under-19 tournament. Well, I guess he would have played.
Yes,
but,
he did.
He's an outstanding player. Lovely footwork. Lovely footwork. I saw him here in the under-15. And that's what I tend to do, go around and watch you. Sometimes just a little encouraging word to them, But I'm telling you all, we have got to, in the leewards, we've got to learn to stand up more, make our voice be heard. Make it be heard, because we have people who are performing.
Good
Who are
as any
performing.
and
And
better
as I
than
say, I'm going to
many.
repeat it again,
Yeah.
because I will never forget this as long as I live. 44 wickets and another bowler, 25 or nearly 30. And not a play to, come on, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What they told is not, what were they, inmates? And they gave them time to come out and play? Huh? What a joke is this? Serious talks. Serious.
Yeah, but a
So we've
Shama Joseph.
we've got to come out and talk. This thing has got to stop.
Yeah,
And people perform. I mean, I listen to them. I mean, they might zoom into that, but I don't think the commentators so want to the way they went about it. But that's part of, you see, I'm accustomed to them. I've managed, I have played, I lived in Barbados my life. I played for the youth team there. But this is how we go on. As soon as we do it, we're insular. But when they do their thing, they're not insular. But I tell you, I'm waiting to hear. Able to call me tonight. I'm honored. I have a lot of friends in St. Kitts, you know. They used to give me a hard time. I have to give this one joke. When I first went to St. Kitts, I'm trying to remember where the place was. It's Greenland, where they sit on the wall up there.
Yes, there's a part, Greenland's here.
They used to have a gang of fellas sitting on the wall. So that man used to say, you Antigua guys, you have to be careful of about the trouble, the body thing, you know, because them boys waiting. I have never had to run or quicken my step when going on a little lime and coming down there. I have always had a good relationship with many in St. Kitts, most people in St. Kitts. Wonderful relationship. I thank God for that. I thank God for that. You know, my father before my time would have had relationships there with Mr. Wilkin, Mr. Eddie, Mr. Mark Mahon, Mr. Cooley. And then when I went to St. Kitts as a 17-year-old, the first thing he told me, make sure you go and look up Calvin Wilkin, Austin Eddie, Mark Mahon, Cooley, you know, and also Gilbert. And I made sure, you see, And, you know, we've got to stand up because we have had players before time who never got the opportunity. You have Len Harris. You know, you can go down the line who never got the opportunity. So it can't be like that now. This is 2024, and we have to stop this foolishness. We've got to talk out. And as I said, don't be rude, be humble. You know, every now and again, you have to show a little aggression in your voice. You go from low octane to high octane, so they will get the message. So, anyhow, I thank you all dearly for having me. You know, God bless the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I hope I'm not saying it too quickly, but I know it might be belief that y'all will be having a little champagne, you know. One time I came there for the rum jumbies. You ever heard of them or you're too young? I came to St. Kitts with rum jumbies. And they had, I can give you a joke, and they had the big banquet, you know, you have to wear 3-piece and so, you know, well, you know, standing suit. You know, the man and them refused to make me a rum jumbie. Charles and Ricky and Mikey Bisbee said they didn't drink enough rum, but all part of life. We're all still here.
But Sam, I was asked.
I hope they don't sue me.
I don't think so. But I was asked.
I might like to add something here. You know, over the years, people have said that no Kittitian have played Test cricket. Yes, there's one Kittitian who played Test cricket, played for England against South Africa. That's Joey Benjamin.
Yes, you're correct.
Oh, yes.
Fast bowler.
Yes.
You're correct.
Played Test cricket.
Sorry. Yes. Yes, very right.
But for the West Indies, we're certainly going to have Louis for sure.
Oh, yes.
And possibly the two Louis brothers that will play for the West Indies. And I'm looking forward to that indeed. It's only just and fair. And tonight, you know, people might think, you know, we're just making a plug for these players. But that's not the case. Justice must be done. And, you know, as a selector, again, I say, I just want to see everyone who deserves a rightful place in any team is allowed to be fitted into this team. And for the West Indies, no doubt, Kyle Louis for England, a possible place for Jeremiah Louis. But if not, certainly in the A team. Look at people like Sales, And yes, a young fast bowler coming through. But even Anderson Phillip, I'll make a case for Anderson Phillip far ahead of Holder, Roach, or Seals. One have to be honest and watch and see the cricket. You have to understand it. You have to know the elements of what is needed to make a good fast bowler or a good batsman, all the attributes, every facets of the game. You've got to study it and you've got to know it. And for what I've seen from Louis, and I repeat it, this season, for a youngster making his debut season, scoring 80 odd runs, and not only scoring runs, but scoring them, in situations where the Leeward Islands needed runs, in situations where he looks very compact, in situations where and for this matter, I'll tell you this, none of the West Indian batsmen, and I'm putting it not only opening batsmen, drives the ball down the ground as elegantly and as frequently as Louis.
Clear class.
Straight back, just a small distance away from the stumps on either side.
Pure class.
Yes, definitely.
He's a very special player. Just a special player.
Sam, I was specifically told to ask you this question by a female spectator. Let me put that into perspective. I wouldn't want you to get in any trouble in Antigua. She said she knew that Cornwall didn't play in the last game, and she wanted to know if he was injured or if he could disclose what would have been the reason or reasons why he didn't play.
I was not on the ground. He was in the 13. I was not on the ground in Trinidad. The coach and the manager, along with Cornwall, had to make that decision. And it was only communicated to me afterwards.
Okay. Any idea when the team to England will be released?
That I cannot say. There's no idea as to when it will be. I am sure that deliberations will start now. The Desi Haynes and Coody would have to really look at what we had over the entire season and ensure that in the interest of West Indies cricket, we don't pick names, we don't pick islands, but we pick players that will represent the West Indies at their best and ensure that we beat England in England. I will be dissatisfied if we do not select our very best players. And when I say best players, on form and also deserving their position. No names, please. This is not a contest for, let's say, people who have played in the past and perform, and we're going to say, well, look, let's give them a break or anything like this. We've got to move on from those kind of situations, just like we did in Leeward's cricket. I'll give you a quick scenario. When we played against Trinidad, we had 4 Antiguans on the bench. And I was accosted by an individual when I came back to Antigua and saying, how can you be chairman of selectors and have 4 Antiguans on the bench? My response is clearly this. I don't select an Antiguan team. I select a Leeward Islands team. So I'm going to leave you with that tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sam. Any closing remarks, Hugh?
Oh, yeah. Well, once again, I have to thank you for having me on the program. Hope I'll get another opportunity to come on. And I must mention this, I met Mr. Louis, that's Jeremiah's and Kyle's father and mother, many years ago. And very disciplined people, huh?
Yes.
And I know that their father is like not a taskmaster, but he's like a man who would have served in the army. Because he believes in humility, he believes in discipline, and he believes in hard work. And he obviously would have done in his wife with their children.
Support.
And as I say, I hope that the youngsters in St. Kitts, we look up. And another thing we have to remember, we also have to remember our history. You're talking about these guys now, but as I said, they were the trailblazers, the Austin Eddies, Calvin Wilkins, Mac Mahons. I think there was a keeper called Mr. Thompson. I'm not sure. The Coolies, the Gilbert. Here was another one who's a fine all-rounder. You know, there's so much you look up to when you go over to Nevis. You know, yes, you had the test players, but before them, you had a guy who, I mean, you had the Len Harrises, and then in Nevis, you had a guy who, to me, was one of the best the Leavers had in Livingston Sargent. What a wonderful player.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You know, and these guys never got the opportunity as such. So I just hope whenever it happens that it will rise up, help the cricket in Nevis and St. Kitts to really go up. And, you know, on a note too, sometimes I forget things. I'd like to mention Noel Guichard, and I can't remember the name of the other person who did done wonderful work with the school cricket in St. Kitts. I always used to have words with him when I came down. We always used to have a good talk, and he has done wonderful work with the school. I know he must be retired now, but let us look at all that has happened this year to be a positive, to take our cricket forward, as Mr. Spencer said, not only St. Kitts, Nevis, Antigua, just West Indies cricket, but in the Leewards, Anguilla, St. Martin. You know, let's hope Montserrat can get back on track.
Yes.
You know, because you had the Jim Allens there, who was an outstanding player. You had the Baker, who was a bowler, you know, and played for West Indies. So we have to start teaching these youngsters, even when they're playing batting, bowling, or thing. When the game is finished, you have to sit down and have a talk with them. They have to talk about the history of the game. Let them know how important this is for them to really give up their best. You see, because it's still the same. When somebody from the bigger country, people don't like to hear this. When they make 50, we have to make 150. When they get 2 wickets, we have to get 4 and 5. If that is it, let us go there to do it. But we have to be aware of our history. There are many from around the Leewards, probably and the Windwards, that could have made it before. And therefore, we must teach the youngsters it's not only about bat and ball. It's about life. It's about knowing your history, the history of your country, the history of the cricket. Because here in the islands, we suffered for many years. So once again, God bless the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Everybody, take care. God bless, and thank you very much for having me on the program. It has been a joy.
It has been indeed our pleasure, Hugh, and definitely it's not going to be the first time. And you mentioned something that we have to do. If we have to do twice as much or 3 times as much, that is something I have been saying. The adage is you have to do twice as much to get half as much. But I realize because we're from the OECS, Leewards and Windwards, we have to do 3 times as much to get a third as much. And I was in a chat and I mentioned that. And there was somebody who said, well, boy, the man is right. And there's also another young player who's there lurking on the horizons for the Leeward Islands, Nathan Edwards, out of...
Oh, yes. Wonderful player. The left-hander from St. Martin.
Indeed, and he has been in the 13 for this Leeward Islands for this tournament, but he hasn't been able to break in because he's another little nice package we have there. I umpired a few games with him when the LA tournament was held, and I was very impressed with he's very business-like, the mentality, the approach, and I'm not surprised he did well in the ICC on the 19 tournament. But gentlemen, it has been a tremendous pleasure. But before you slip away, I don't know if I'll give Eustace 10 seconds to give his final remarks.
Yeah, I just want to say it really has been a pleasure to have you, Mr. Go and Mr. Spencer. I just want to say that Louis now at age 23, that is when Brian Lara broke the first world record in 1993, and I expect great thing of him. I also just want to say before I close that I also expect when the brothers get into the West Indies team, we expect it to flow where we will have also a Kittitian female also playing for the West Indies team. And I also expect the West Indies team to have a coach from St. Kitts, Steve Liebert, in the future. and then the many other Kittitians who would be flowing into the West Indies team, the Burgans and the others and so moving forward. But because of time, when you have fun, it's so happy, unfortunately, we have to run. But I also want to say, if we don't leave, we just can't come back. I bring the cake to start the celebration in advance, and unfortunately, we will just eat for you and Mr. Spencer, because we can't send it by email or WhatsApp or whatever. But
well, I can tell you this. I want to interject here. Because if you have to eat for me, you might not be able to get up.
In closing, Troy, I'd just like to say that many people do not know the relationship between myself and Hugo. When I first played first class cricket, I was a schoolboy. As a matter of fact, I was just 14 years old. And Mr. Hugo, and I know he did not going to put this one on him tonight, Mr. Hugo almost had me killed. Because as a schoolboy, I came to Rising Sun to play with Hugo, Vim Richards, Andy Roberts, these guys. And there was one afternoon, Andy Roberts at his top pace, I hooked him twice for 6 over a long leg. And Hugo jumped on his bottom and started laughing at Andy, saying, "The little schoolboy you have come hook him out the place like that." Then Andy got furious. I never received more vicious bouncers in all my life. Went home with my 2 feet swollen, because in those days those pads weren't very good, and it struck me a couple of times in the pads. I can remember that afternoon, nobody else batted. I batted for about an hour and a half. So you did not go to this one of them, but he's my good friend still. I can tell you many of the things I learned in cricket, the knowledge that I get in terms of the experience of being a selector and so forth, is because of my conversation with you. And as we speak about treasures in the Caribbean, Hugh, I have to say this. I respect you very much. And I still think you have a lot to offer to Leeward's cricket. So please come back.
Boy. Well,
okay,
I will come back on the program. I don't know about, but I'll always be there for Leeward's cricket. I'll always be there to speak to people.
Yes,
it's always in my heart. But as I say, I end by saying once again, it's very important for our players to know the history of the game in the Leewards and Windwards, how hard it was for others to make it. Now that we have got the opportunity, we've got to use it. And as I tell guys too, when you make the Leewards team, or any team, and you go back to your local team, you must be an example.
Yes.
You must be an example to the players.
Exactly.
This is one of the problems I used to have here. You play for the Leewards and then you come back, you go to practice for your local team, you finish batting, you go and stand up at point. No. You get involved. And this is what it's all about. You've been given the opportunity. You've got to pass on your experience to others. And we have got to get Leeward's cricket back to where it was. Because you made a comment. When you have Leeward's, West Indies cricket is strong. That's the reality of the situation. Once again, God bless you all. And thank you for having me.
Okay, guys, and may God bless you all. And thanks for the tremendous contribution this evening. And we look forward to do this another time. And thanks so much again for joining us. And you all take care.
Indeed, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure anyway having either of you, but it's a double pleasure having both of you at the same time. And I think we learned a lot, jogged down memory lane, good advice, and we really appreciated your views. And we look forward to celebrating the selection of the Louis brothers to the West Indies team to England. But we also look forward to having you on the program in future. And have a good night, gentlemen. And thank you for making yourself available for us. And as we go through our closing sequence, speaking of retirement, Roman Powell, he was trying to get Narain to come back out of retirement for the West Indies. because he would have made 100 for his team in the IPL, and he has been picking up wickets steadily, and he's really looking good. That's it. And before we slip away, for the cool and smooth cricket tournament being played here, last night, Molyneux Blue Runners defeated Haynes Smith Sharks, and the score was 196, and they made that for the last of four wickets with 2.5 overs left. Government Road Stingrays out of Nevis played against Brownhill Dolphins. I wasn't able to get the score. Sandy Point Snappers engaged St. Paul's Barracudas in the first game. I've been trying here to get the score. I haven't been able to do that. And Loshon Bergen, he's actually playing for the St. Paul's Barracudas. And in the game going now, Molyneux Blue Runners coming up against Government Road Stingray. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Brownhill Dolphins against Sandy Point Snappers at 4:30, 8:30, St. Paul's Barracudas versus Haynes Smith. Friday, 4:30, Sandy Point versus Molyneux. 8:30, Haynes Smith versus Government Road. Saturday, 3 games on Saturday. 12:30 p.m., Brownhill Dolphins out of Nevis versus Molyneux Blue Runners. At 4:30 p.m., Government Road Stingrays versus St. Paul's Barracuda. And the feature game, 8:30 p.m. on Saturday 27th, Haynes Smith Sharks versus Sandy Point. It has been a pleasure having another edition of On the Ball here at WinFM 98.9. I thank my producer, Jamster, for allowing us to go over time by some 12 minutes, but that was inevitable with the levels of our guests here. We thank Mr. Hugo and Mr. Samuel Spencer for making themselves available to be with us, and also the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee earlier. And remember, the funeral for the late Alfonso Bridgewater will be happening on this Friday at 12:30 at the St. George's Anglican Church. And I didn't get to mention it, but from the previous program, the suggestion to have Bridges be a national hero, but we'll just have to wait and see if and when that will happen. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for listening. And to the callers, you've been trying. We had some issues. I do sincerely apologize for that. And if you care to, you can WhatsApp me 668-2055, your questions, comments, concerns. And if you would want me to forward them to Mr. Hugo or Mr. Samuel Spencer, I'd gladly do that. As I slip away, always be positive in your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions. And we're encouraging you to join us again next week, Tuesday, God's Spear, same time, 7 to 9 p.m. at WinFM 98.9. Have a good night. Best wishes.